Some of the most popular, successful entrepreneurs today aren't professing Christians, and that provides a big problem for Christian entrepreneurs that most people don't speak about. And this is why a lot of Christians today end up looking more so like this instead of looking more so like this. By the end of today's video, I'm going to give you 3 examples to show you how this actually plays out. So let me give you an example. Have you ever been watching a video before from someone who's successful, someone online who is giving you the strategies, giving you the systems, the game in order to be successful in your Christian entrepreneurial endeavors, whether you're starting an online business or whatever it is, right? And let's say, for example, you're watching one of their videos, maybe you've even made it into one of their programs or coaching services, or you're watching one of their products, and out of the blue, randomly, they just start swearing, basically. And in that moment, it's like, and at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, well, I've got children, I don't really want them hearing it, etc. I don't really want to be hearing it. And you start to think to yourself, well, I'm trying to learn from this particular individual, but then at the same time, they're doing certain things which are counter, which go against what I actually believe, especially deep down internally. Now, in that scenario, you have a dilemma, right? And this is the kind of thing which you don't hear a lot about online. So you can think to yourself, well, okay, cool. Well, what I'm going to do in that situation is I'm just going to put up with it, right? Which again, you can do, but it's obviously problematic, because if you're a Christian, if you're trying to live a Christian lifestyle, but you're hearing this stuff randomly as well, you have to make a decision. Am I going to continue to do that and do things which aren't really in line with what I'm trying to do or how I'm trying to raise my children? Or are you going to say, well, cool, well, I'm not going to go in that direction, but then I need the information. That's the dilemma, right? The first guy here, he's got an indifferent face. And the reason why, and just before the record, right, both of these individuals are you, right? So his face is indifferent, because in that scenario, he may turn around, like I said, and say, well, it's just swearing, right? This is what happens to so many of us so often. We say, well, look, we'll just put up with this little stuff in order to reach the bigger stuff, right? We've all been there. I even hold my hand up. I've been in those situations before. But the problem, the bigger problem that is not only is our indifference here on the left a problem, but the real problem, the deeper problem, is that when we start going internal, right, and we start thinking about the inner man, we start thinking about our subconscious doesn't take this as like an indifferent thing. Our subconscious, when we now start getting to the root, the core of who we actually are, views this as a disconnect. And this is one of the reasons why, when it comes to actually like pulling the trigger, or imagine like you're driving a car and you're pushing down on the accelerator, but the car's not moving the way it's supposed to. That's because there isn't alignment. And this is a problem which Christian entrepreneurs aren't warned about more, as much as they should be anyway. So you may hear something comes in and it's filtered, or there's something in it which isn't conducive, i.e. like the swearing. And this is just there's many examples like this, but I'm just giving that as an example because it's something we all can kind of understand and have probably been through that situation, right? The message comes in, we can try and filter it and say, okay, you know what, let me just take the meat and spit out the bones, which it's not impossible to do, but it makes it so much more difficult for us. And then internally, we try to make sense of it, and it doesn't quite fit. So we may be saying enough of the right stuff outwardly. Yeah, you know what, this is some good information, I want to follow it, etc. But deep down internally, there's this resistance which is really repelling it and pushing it away. And that's the Christian in us, which is saying, no, this doesn't go aligned. It's not aligned with what I believe. This is a problem. Now, this is just one thing obviously spoken about. I want to talk about another thing now, which I also think is important. So he spoke about swearing, which is kind of a small example. I want to talk now about a bigger example, which is success, because what I've spoken about already applies here as well. So think about it like this, right? Same thing. You listen to someone out there online who is giving good strategy, good content, good quality content. So don't get it twisted for a second. I'm not saying these people out there who aren't professing Christians but are very successful can't help you with strategy and all these different kind of things. What I'm saying though is you have to think about alignment. If you've ever wondered, why aren't I able to do what I know to do, This is one of the things which happens. This is one of the things which is actively stopping you, especially if you're not aware of it. This is one of the reasons why I'll make this video for you. So success. If you think one of the reasons why a lot of Christian entrepreneurs don't get the success that they want is because, again, there isn't alignment. Either you think outwardly, right? So you may be listening to the messaging and saying, okay, you know what, yeah, like I want to have a successful business. I want to do something successful online. But then at the same time, internally, what internally is going on? You know how the Bible talks about how a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways? That could be, like, if you think back to this analogy, right? That could be someone like this who has one thought in one direction and another thought in a different direction, right? That's one way you can think about that passage. But at the same time, it could be someone who outwardly is thinking one thing, but internally is thinking something completely different, right? And this is something most people don't think about. A lot of people, I kind of call it the iceberg effect. I can talk more about this in another video if you want, just let me know in the comments. But the iceberg effect. So you go out and if you only see successful people, and most of the successful people you see online aren't professing Christians, and not only aren't they professing Christians, they may be even doing things, for example, like the swearing and even worse stuff, and it doesn't create the alignment. Whether you know it or not, you may like outwardly be saying, okay, yeah, you know what, I can separate the two. But most people from an internal perspective can't separate the two. So they continue to associate these two things together. If you are going to be successful, it means you need to be living a sinful lifestyle, etc. This is how we get to these sorts of belief systems like evil people are the ones that are rich, which if we think about it conceptually and we think, wait, hold on, like Abraham was someone in the Bible who was rich. King David was rich. King Solomon was rich. There's different people in the New Testament who are rich. There's different people in the New Testament who are active entrepreneurs, right? Paul the Apostle, James and John, Peter and Andrew, etc. I could go on. But the point is, what you continue to focus on and what you continue to see is what's going to really steer you like where you go, like basically. I was going to say steer you to your destiny, but it really can steer you away from your destiny. So you have to think about from this perspective. We think about success. Who are you following? And is it creating alignment for you, or is it creating like a block in the system? So what it's like, I'll just give you an example. I'll draw this like here, right? Imagine it's like this. Imagine you've got this road and you're trying to walk down the road. But what's actually happening is there's a boulder right in the middle of the road and there's no way around it. So many people will continue to walk and bang their head against the boulder instead of realizing, no, what I need to do is actually go in the other direction and go in a pathway where the boulder isn't there. And that way you can walk through nice and easy. So before we get to the last thing I want to talk about in today's video, just think about it like this. So imagine if you were getting the same sorts of strategy and information from someone who didn't swear, for example, or didn't do other ungodly or or sinful actions, etc. Do you think it would be easier for you to not only receive the message, but also to follow through on the message? Because you would know that there isn't any outward or any, even more importantly, inward conflict stopping you from taking those steps. Now we think about success. Imagine if you have multiple examples of people who are successful, who are godly people, Christians, and they're doing everything based on the Bible and showing you exactly what to do, right? I'll give you an example. So the more you realize, and this will lead nicely into the final point I want to talk about in today's video, when you are ready and you start to look out for what I'm kind of talking about, you start to realize that these sorts of people have been there from the beginning. I'll give an example. So for me, years ago, I started making this sort of content. And one of the things I was thinking about is like, where are all the other Christian entrepreneurs who are really into this thing, but don't want to find themselves wrestling against compromise and all of this kind of stuff? Because there's all of these people out there who are doing just crazy, like different stuff, which doesn't align fully with what I believe, or even close enough with what I believe. And I remember one of the books I read at the time was a book called Business by the Book. And it's basically a book talking about how you can run your business based on the Bible, which when I read it and when I saw it anyway, in my mind, I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So imagine reading through that kind of book. Imagine reading a book on health, or wealth or mindset or creating connections, right? Networking. And it's all based from a biblical perspective, showing you biblical strategies and techniques that you can use in order to get in that direction. Business by the Book doesn't do all of that, but I'm just giving you that as an example. It's something which is very congruent. You're not going to read through it and be wondering or second guessing, being double-minded. Wait, okay, cool. This seems good, but could I actually do this? Is it going to compromise me? Is it going to mess me up, etc.? Is it just me being focused on the money, or is it actually me doing something which is going to work out, it's going to be successful, but at the same time, it's also going to produce fruit, money, etc., which can obviously help me provide for my family. These are the kind of things which you won't have to continue to debate when you start doing this the right way. Imagine if, let me wipe this off, for example. Imagine if it's not just one person. Remember earlier when I said these two people are you? Okay, cool. Now imagine if there was loads of different people in this situation now. Loads of different people like this. And I'm just going to do this very quickly just to prove the point. Right? Just imagine loads of people. And then therefore there's also loads of people here as well. Right? This is the negative way, the negative outlook, the wrong way to do it. You may think to yourself you're by yourself, but you're not really by yourself, because really and truly, if you're not with other people who are like-minded, who are other people who are like you, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you may think you're by yourself, but you're really with other people who think a different way. And what that looks like is not only a problem for you, which results in internal conflict for you, but it's also all the people around you who aren't supporting you on your journey. One of the things I tweeted recently was, look, you're not going to be successful surrounding yourself with people who don't want to be successful, right? It's almost impossible. And the fact of the matter is, everything I've said today in today's video, the opposite, the reverse is true. So imagine if you're not watching videos and you're not watching videos where people are swearing. You're watching videos where people are saying the important stuff. They're giving you the strategy, they're giving you the game, etc. And they're saying it in a way without like saying profanity or saying like vulgar stuff, evil stuff, etc. This is going to be a tick internally and also, well, externally, outwardly, and obviously internally. Now imagine again with success. You obviously want to be successful. You want to be able to provide for your family. You want to be able to serve the people that you're here to serve, your community, right? This is obviously something you want to do. And this is also going to create alignment outward and also inward. Now think about if it's not just you. You surround yourself with people who are exactly the same way. They have the same mindset. They have the same mission. The point I'm trying to get you to realize is when you do this the right way, it will look more so like this and less so like this. This is one of the reasons why I make a dedicated effort to surround myself and mastermind with Christian entrepreneurs on a weekly basis, because I understand the significance of surrounding myself with like-minded people who want the same mission, who want the same goal as me. So I'm not ever like thinking to myself, you know, I'm all by myself, nobody else understands me, nobody else gets me. And that's one of the reasons why I'll make content like this, because I know not only is it going to help me, but it's also going to help someone like you to understand that you're not alone and there's someone out there who thinks just like you and wants the same things as you. So if you like this video, don't forget to like it. You can subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you on another video in the future. Go win and God bless.